Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah. Roll call, please.
Mayor Caucus?
Here.
Mrs. Passio? Here. Mr. Runnemede?
Here.
Mr. Robinstein?
Here.
Mr. Farrell?
Here.
Mr. Root?
Here.
Mr. Wood? Sorry. Mr.
Not
Farrell?
Not here.
I am here.
Mr. Basor?
Here.
And Mr. Fiore?
Here.
Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the clerk in the following manner. 1, posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on January 3rd, 2018, and 2, emailed to the retrospect and carrier post on January 3rd, 2018. New business for discussion. Discussion of used car lot license for ACP Auto Wholesalers for 2018. Is this?
This is the new one. We have a problem because Keith went out and cited them. I don't know if everyone looked at their emails. And he sends everyone their emails. He cited them because they put a fence up without a permit. And they installed it past the front of the building, so now Keith won't sign off on the business license, and he told me today that I should not issue a, used car lot license.
Is the car dealership disputing the location of the fence, or
I
what's that?
have no idea, you have to talk to Keith
Okay.
about that.
So,
So I don't know if we'll get on for Tuesday, for next Tuesday.
What do you
because
think
of
about
that.
could it tie the used car license? Is that tied to the code enforcement? It is tied. Okay? Yeah, okay. We're just gonna have to let the guy know that he's gotta fix those 2 problems before we can issue the license.
Okay.
And he's gotta get it done before the council meeting.
Especially when you're doing permits too, that's,
Yeah.
really, those accumulate very fast. What was the second problem besides the test?
He put it up without a permit, and then he went too far.
Oh, okay, it's all fixed.
And that's,
Good way to start.
go ahead and start. Discussion of contract for IT services for the Borough Hall and one for the police, fire, and OEM. Mr. Diori, you want to elaborate on that?
Sure. We want to sign a contract with 2 IT managed service companies. One is local IT security for the administration portion of the building. It's a veteran-owned company. I have experience working with them. Fine quality service, fine quality people. The other one is Premier Technology Solutions. It's a managed IT service highly recommended by the police department and other police departments in the area. We spent a significant amount of money in 2016 for a managed IT service here between Board of Education and between other contractors that were hired on an ad hoc basis. And we spent a significant amount of money. This year, we want to get under contract.
Do the switch.
We want to get under contract with 2 quality, reputable firms. One to handle administration, one to handle the police, because police have sensitivities to their data and different things like that. This company is resourced for that. So and that's pretty much.
And there should be some savings along with the
There
better service.
is going to be a significant amount.
So I think that our solicitor has reviewed the contracts,
Good to
and
go.
we're good to go, so we'll do that at the next meeting. Discussion of electronic waste collection contract with Reverse Logistics Group America. I think we elaborate on that one just a little bit.
Sure.
So it was all good, right?
Yeah, everything was fine, everything was standard, this is an additional insured, everything seemed good to go. They were doing there, and I had no issues with the contract.
And this is the one where it doesn't cost us anything now to get rid of the
So it
electronic.
doesn't cost us anything. Right now, just to, looking at trying to make savings where we can, we're, last year for 2017, we spent $3,900 to remove the electronics from the Borough of Runnemede. We didn't get anything back, but we did get recycling credits for it. This company here is free of charge for them to pick up material from us. They'll come, they'll wrap it in pallets from the facility and remove them at no cost. So we'll
So we should see at least the savings of $3,900.
And good, just so many of these things are just getting going to complete waste, and you're talking down the road, or
Yes.
the woods.
Well, there was some money in the beginning with the recycling, wasn't there? And then it
Well,
just,
some money had dropped out, we're recycling all over the place, just unfortunately, I got a call from our treasurer. We actually had to pay for recycling this past ticket.
really?
Yeah, because now that all the packaging is over with and all that, it's not selling, so the market drops, we actually had to pay to remove the material from the floor.
Okay. So we'll approve that. If there's any other discussion at the council meeting. Discussion of a renewal of shared service agreement between Belmar and Runnemede for inspecting, videotaping, and cleaning of the sewer systems.
We're gonna put a hold on that.
We're going to put a hold on it?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine. You got that, Joyce?
Yeah, this is the one that I had sent to Dan.
Yeah.
Dan had a problem with the terms. He thought there should be a,
Yeah, well, that's fine. We wait till
but
next
there was
month.
something else too, which I wasn't aware of. There was,
Yeah.
I was told.
It's
there
a
were other
one-sided
issues.
shared terms, now we have our record truck, we wanted to reverse back, so if we go to Belmar, our.
Oh, reciprocating.
is back,
Okay.
but all, with that, so we're looking at how it's playing and changing language, we'll present a template for next, Caucus.
That's fine. Discussion of COLA ordinance. I mean, that's typical, the COLA ordinance. We do that every year.
Right, coal ordinance was introduced at the last council
So it will
meeting.
be the public
So
hearing.
It'll be the public hearing coming up on the 6th.
Okay. Should be no issue with that. Discussion of transfer of $5,000 premium to the general account not retained within 5 years. This was you, Joyce?
Yes, this is another premium that has not been, the lien has not been redeemed within 5 years, so it was cheats to the borough.
Nice.
$5,000.
Okay. That means somebody gets to foreclose on that property. Is that what you're telling me?
Correct. They did, that, it was not redeemed. If it's foreclosed on, that doesn't count as a redemption.
Okay. Discussion of bid threshold resolution. Was this something that you wanted to put on?
Yeah, this is something that Joyce and I worked together on. There's, since we have a QPA, qualified purchasing agent, our bid thresholds increase. So for going out to bid, our threshold is $40,000. Anything over that, we're required to go out to bid. Anything over $6,000, we're required to get a second quote.
Okay.
Without a QPA, those limits are much lower, which takes a lot more work. It's just a lot beneficial to increase it.
So you'd like to do a resolution every year outlining those limits, because they change every year, those limits? Is
Yeah,
that-
it should be. Every time a limit changes,
We
it
should do.
a new resolution.
And just to make clear, like, we can do it, we know we can do it, and we do it.
Okay, fine, great. Discussion of resolution to refund interest to property owner due to an error by Core Logic. That should not be a big issue, right?
No, we already, at the last meeting, or the meeting before, you refunded some tax payments to CoreLogic. CoreLogic provided us proof that they wired us money for property that should have gone to, the money should have gone to
To
Barrington.
Barrington.
And now the gentleman, and you can make the argument, that he should have known he didn't pay his taxes, but it's not worth the argument. He wants his $50.07 back in interest, so that's all that we're giving him back. Because-
I don't think that's a big deal. That wasn't his fault that the.
Well, when the tax bill did say he owed nothing on those quarters, so, yes, it did say that, but he never put out the, he did come in eventually and pay it, but he paid, it was on with interest, of course, because it wasn't paid.
Okay.
So, just to refund him.
Okay, discussion of readopting resolution to accept amended 3-year cooperative or cooperation agreement with county for CDBG funds as per Aaron Green's request. So as everyone knows, the community block grant has been very lucrative to the borough. So the county manages those funds and the supplemental funds. So we've done well with that. I don't think there should be any real disagreement to stay with them unless somebody has some concerns.
No, it works very well.
It's actually just an amendment, we've already done this.
Oh.
Erin, I don't know who they copied on this email. Erin Green sent an email to all the members, I guess. When their documents were reviewed by, is that a Fed program?
It is federal program, yeah.
They didn't like the word, and they don't want year 39, 40, 41. They wanted to say year 2018, 19, and 20.
Yeah, I like that better.
So I sent it to Dan, and Dan, the option was, could we just make the change without Dan wanted us to redo it.
That's fine. I actually like that it says the year as opposed to the 38, 39. It was,
So there's just some
now we'll know what
language
year the money goes
changes.
towards. Yeah, instead of figuring it out. Okay, that's fine. Discussion of emergency temporary budget. Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, at our rework meeting, we, as you all know, we passed a temporary budget to allow the borough to operate. During the first quarter, it's usually 26.25%, which takes us through the first quarter of 2018. However, we have contracts that we work with that are front-loaded into the budget, so it's something that has been spread out for 12 months. We're paying it all in the first month. So what I like to do is do an emergency temporary budget. I don't like the word emergency, it's not an emergency. It's just something where, because of those front-loaded contracts and payments that we have, it gives us more breathing room until the budget is passed.
Okay.
I personally prefer the hybrid.
You do?
You like
Yeah, you like the emergency?
Yeah,
I don't like
because it, well, we have to do it or else.
I
There's
understand.
no, there's no.
So those line items,
We like drama. Say it's an emergency.
but when you say 26.25, is that an aggregate or could different line items?
That's it.
It's per line item.
In total.
So could we have front-loaded those particular line
But it
items?
would have been taken away from
Something
the
else.
first round.
Okay.
Right. So the second round, we have a little more leverage, like our pension payments. Our pension
Is
payments
due at the
are a
beginning.
lot more than 26.25%. And if we were to reduce that from the other current fund budgetary items, it wouldn't have been enough. It wouldn't have been enough.
Okay. All right. We have a little bit of business this evening, Resolution 18-25. It's a resolution authorizing person-to-person transfer of a plenary retail consumption license. This is the Antonetti's property, correct?
Correct.
Antonetti's has a new buyer. We're obligated to transfer the license. It's been approved by the state. Did you guys get a chance to look at this or read this? It's Joseph McCormick Jr. This was the Irish Mile owners on Hatton Avenue. They're taking over the property.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you know what that is? Okay, so is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Lobenstein, second by Ms. Passio. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mrs. Casio.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Fowler.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Five ayes, one absent.
All right, the resolution.
Discussion, do we know when they're coming in?
No, resolution is adopted. I don't know.
This is contingent, the sale of the property is contingent.
I think it was contingent on us.
Transferring the license. So
They wouldn't
within
have
the-
purchased it.
No way.
They were gonna buy it.
Within the next few days, I think they'll have settlement, and then I don't know where it goes from
Oh,
there.
good. So that's. Please,
What?
What?
It's the Irish Mile.
Irish Mile.
McCormick. Okay. Resolution 18-26 is a resolution, a resolution for the Runnemede Fire Company to conduct a coin toss on the county and borough streets for the dates listed, which are February 4th, May 25th, June 29th, August 31st, and November 23rd. The chief of police has been aware of these, right?
And he signed it.
And he signed it,
He
yes.
signed it, yes.
Obviously, the
And
chief of police is
Freddie
required.
went through all the procedure, we sent everything to the county that was necessary, yes.
They haven't done this in years, so this is new that they haven't done it in a while.
That's great.
But it is the chief's obligation to approve it. Okay, is there a motion to?
I make a motion.
They haven't. Motion by,
Mr. Root, second by Mr. Carroll.
motion by Mr. Root, second by Mr. Farrell. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Do you need a roll call for that, for the 12
Yeah.
Yeah?
I just always prefer roll call.
Run it down.
Ah, you lawyers are okay, Mr. Lobenstein.
Mr. Lobenstein?
Yes, sorry.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
5 ayes, 1 absent.
All right, the resolution is adopted. We'll go around the room, and then before we do the payment of bills. Ms. Passio?
Okay, all right. Let's see.
I can skip you if you're not ready.
Yeah, I am ready, but it might be a little bit lengthy. Just go.
Mr. Ranieri, you can go faster and first. You can take as much time as you want, Mr. Ranieri.
Really? Thank you.
Meeting's allowed till 11:30.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good evening, everybody. To bring everybody up to date on the finance department.
Oh,
Really?
electricity.
So this one, okay. Just to bring everybody up to date in finance, I'm happy to say that Jim Dioria, our new CFO/administrator, has acclimated himself very well into his position. I'm very happy to say that we are off and running. It's only been about a month, but here are just a few examples of the things we're doing. We are streamlining many of our processes, including the approval process on all department POs. Council no longer has to examine and sign each PO. Our CFO will provide council with a report in detail and will discuss any challenges or progress regarding our departments. We've added approximately another day each month to review and process the bill list to help the vendors get paid more fluidly. Our annual debt statement is in progress and on time. We are preparing our 2017 audit and also our annual finance statement. The salary portion of our budget is about 95% complete. Our appropriation budget's next, and then finally our capital budget. We are still operating on a temporary budget, as Jim had mentioned, and the rest is progress.
Very good, thank you. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Farrell?
Thanks, Mayor. Yesterday, Engineering Committee met with the mayor, Steve Bach, and Mark Basur on just trying to come up to date with things we're going to be doing for 2018. We talked about the construction outside, what's going on there. A little behind, but hopefully it'll catch up. We talked about traffic study, turn signals for 2018. We discussed it last year, but it just wasn't in our budget. So hopefully we can get it going. Sign will be in a few days, this digital sign out there. I think it was the 5th or the 6th.
The 6th was
Will
shipping.
that go?
Shipping, yes.
Will that go when it comes in, or?
Well, it has to be a little coordinated, but I mean, the 6th, I think it's the shipping date.
We're going to make a big deal of the first.
No,
What's it going to say?
it's gonna say
Thank you, Patty.
open.
Open for business, yeah, right. Also, Elm Street is done, we're waiting for some striping out there. And we talked about capital improvement, long-term planning program, which we're going to discuss more on February the 13th. Everything is going to be going on in the town, so, what I was kidding. Oh, mentioned about on East Sham Road, there's the flashing lights. I'd like to know if we could put flashing lights on both sides of one each way, so it'd be, more people will see it, and hopefully it'll stop people from
Where are you?
At St. Teresa's, we're gonna look
Teresa's,
into
we
that.
have one way and one the other way. I'd like to have
Both.
2 and 2.
But we're gonna make sure we're allowed to do it, and one is owned by Gloucester Township, one is owned by us.
And
Is that the crosswalk?
Yes.
Yeah.
when Nick mentioned that, I don't think that'll be a problem.
What's that? Now you know.
Flashing just this way?
That's good.
Which way is it?
Well, we're gonna make sure that we're allowed to put it on both sides. There's been some changes to the rules for the flashing lights, so we just gotta make sure.
That's good.
I just think it would bring more attention to
Well,
this
it's
situation.
lunch hour and stuff sometimes.
Okay.
Well, the rest progress.
All right, great, thank you. Anything else? Mr. Root?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Everything's going pretty smooth. It's pretty quiet right now. A little bit of snow. Not a big deal. Guys are getting to the you can see the painting around the town hall here. It smells nice in here. So, you know, they're doing their winter duties right now, and everything's moving smooth. I gave everybody a copy of these frequently asked questions that would just, I'll save you a phone call or two if you just hold on to this and somebody calls you or asks you a question. Craig's going to put it on Facebook, Harry's going to put it on the website, and
We're gonna give the front office personnel this also?
we could give it to the front office. I'll give it to Joyce. I'll give it to Joyce right now. And it's just to make things go a little smoother instead of just like, you know, call Harry. You know, just to leave it in.
It's not even Call Harry? Fix everything.
So,
Oh, my.
yeah, you know, this is all information to me too, so
Well, it's good to be right.
if you don't call me, I'm just gonna look at this. So, just to save a step, just make everybody on the same page. And, you know, when we ever do our new book comes out, you know,
Newsletter?
yeah, we'll put this in
I
there.
don't know if it's under fluorescent labels. That just goes out.
That's trash.
Trash that you can't take into a facility and recycle.
There are places that
There are
recycle.
places that you gotta look online at,
That's actually the funnest trash ever. You put it in a can, and you say that you wait till it
I know, I
blows
put
up,
one out there
and you
today.
breathe that in,
Don't breathe it in.
it's good for you.
Don't breathe it in.
Strike that from the record.
And that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lomstein?
Not much going on right now as far as Parks and Rec. Softball's having their signups, starting February 3rd, the Harry Williams Building on the weekends. Baseball is going to baseball and soccer will be starting up soon if they haven't already. The Facebook page is going along really well. We've decided to not allow comments due to First Amendment rights. It's either we allow everything or we allow none. So for now, we're going to go with none. And if people need to get a hold of the borough, they can call 856-939-5161, or they can email at the info page, or they can actually come to Borough Hall, or better yet, they can come to a council meeting or a caucus meeting and let us know their concerns. And naturally, if people on Facebook, if they have an emergency, I will try to direct them right then and there. But as far as just general comments, we're not going to allow any
Positive or negative?
positive or negative or indifferent. And I directed them on the Facebook page on where to go. Some people have had some questions about the building and why we fixed it and then we immediately tore it up again. I've explained to them why it's supposed to be a 2-year process, and it got hurried along because we found $150,000 from the CDBG. So, and that's about it.
Okay.
Progress.
You ready, Ms. Passio?
Oh, yeah, I am, okay. Let's get to the freeholders. The freeholders are coming on Thursday, February 15th, so please mark your calendars at 6:30. They will be coming to the Harry Williams Building, and they will have our meeting for Runnemede at 6:30, and then their general meeting will meet at 7, will begin at 7 o'clock. So, we so far.
Are they bringing us the $150,000 check? They bringing us the
I do
check?
believe that they will. I don't know
Big check?
if we can cash it,
Big
but,
check.
yeah. So our VFW will be bringing, saluting, doing Pledge of Allegiance. We have Serena who will be singing, and a few other little surprises. So, and the Boy Scouts will also be accompanying them. I made those arrangements. Also, yes.
One second. George, does the RY know about the building not being available the day before?
What was that,
For the freeholders.
the 15th, and that would be a Wednesday?
It was a Wednesday night, we were gonna, so we could,
It's Thursday night.
but Wednesday we'll have the building ready,
Yes.
Thursday the meeting,
I might have told
Friday
you.
morning you break it down, and basketball
Wednesday,
goes back in Friday
Wednesday, is
night.
that RY Wednesdays? I have
Wednesdays,
a little
why are St.
conversation.
Teresa?
I'm not sure who it is.
Okay.
Send it out to both, I guess. Please. All right, sorry, Pat.
Thank you, that's okay. Joyce is usually on top of that, so, thank you, Joyce. Also, the seniors this month had a luncheon, and it turned out very well. They came in, let's see, at 12 o'clock, and we had a luncheon with the Vault. The Vault came in and catered the affair. We're going to be doing this every month for the seniors. They're very excited. And next month we will use the vault again, and then we will use other businesses in Runnemede, the arenas or whoever will do whatever the seniors like. Maybe they'll want pizza one month or whatever. So who doesn't love pizza? And pizza and pasta is fun. So again, it's always the third Saturday. We welcome anybody who is a senior. Seniors start at age 55, so we do welcome you to come and join us. And I'm only 26, but I am the liaison, so that's why I attend. No, this year this next month. Oh, okay. So I'm very excited too, because they really, really enjoyed it. They had plenty of time to eat, and they had plenty of time for their meeting. And we're hoping, that it'll encourage others to come out and join. And it doesn't have to be from Runnemede, and it can be from anywhere. Their bylaws have changed, so you don't have to be a Runnemede resident to join for the seniors. So That's something that we're working on for every month for the seniors. Jim and I had the pleasure of meeting with Ricky Rowland, who is the executive director for the Camden County Animal Association. And while she was here, she was talking to us, and she was encouraging us to have a TNR community cat ordinance. I don't know if you see, but we have a lot of cats that have just floated in our town. The sad part is that people, they just put the cats out and then that's it. Or they're born in the wild and they're called feral cats. They're stray or feral. The Camden County freeholders are encouraging us to develop an ordinance. They have money, grant money, that they would be giving to us. I want to be proactive. We need to be proactive in bringing these cats. Someone would be a caregiver. They would be able to feed them. They would be trapped and neutered in return. Or they can be adoptable. They'll adopt. They can be put out up for adoption. I believe.
So does the grant
there's
pays for the neutering?
Okay, right now, if I was to count, there's a few, okay, that are living under my shed right now. It's $35 to take that, to trap the cat. You have to do it properly. You have to, I've already did a TNR, I had I guess it was on a Saturday morning, and it was a few hours, and we learned about how to try to socialize feral cats. I also did a course 2012, Eleanor and I went, and to learn more about them. And at that time, we didn't have many cats that were in our town. But Barrington did, Voorhees did, Cherry Hill, Magnolia, Belmar, and they were entitled to the money.
Okay.
They were entitled. Okay, now it plus $35, you get your cat. You capture the cat, the county comes out, helps you capture the cat, okay? They take
So
it.
they don't help us, the county captures the cat.
The county will help capture. There are women here that will.
What do you mean help though? I mean, you
They'll
mean
come out
they'll
and
just
bring
do
you-
it, they'll capture the cats?
Yes.
You don't have
You
to-
can do it yourself if you're going to be the caregiver.
Okay, so you can
Okay?
capture
So they'll
the
bring
cats.
you the trap, you capture the cat, you take it over to the shelter, and they have it neutered, they have it rated, they get it vaccinated, and they tip its ear, so that our animal control, okay, knows that if they're called, knows that we're not going to touch that cat. It costs us money every time. It can cost us anywhere from $60 to $300.
Well, that's what I'm
a
saying,
day
what's,
when we capture these animals. So they won't be captured because we see that they've been neutered and checked. They'll be fed, they'll be, the population will be.
I guess what I'm asking, and I don't know if anybody else has this question, because I think, if you believe it's the right thing to do,
I absolutely.
once again, the financial aspect of it, if we're saving money,
We're saving the town
and the
money,
county's
we're
gonna
saving-
pay, what portion would the county pay towards this?
Well, actually, they, for the ones that have any ordinances, they're paying all of it. It's $35.
So the $35 will be paid by them.
Yeah.
So they'll come out, trap it, pay for it, and
We'll be
release it.
entitled, with that ordinance, we'll be entitled to the grant.
Okay, did they give us
I have two ordinances
a mock
here.
resolution for us to review?
I have two ordinances here that you can review. Gloucester Township just passed
We're going to
an
do it, we'll bring
ordinance.
it back to council.
Money-
Oh, does anyone have an objection to do first reading at the next meeting?
No.
Okay.
So why don't we
If you
just
want to
pick
look at
one?
the ordinance,
We'll have our solicitor look at it, because Gloucester Township just did it.
I've
We can
reviewed
mimic
it in depth. I do like the Camden County Animal Shelter, the Camden County freeholders have this one. I really do like this one. This is a little bit more in-depth, but I can talk to you about it later. Okay? And we're saving.
Yeah, because everyone knows we have to hold the cat for so long, we're paying. it's like-
7
I
days and
think
then
the
they
large
can
portion of
euthanize
spending
them.
on our animal cost is that for a lot that's going on now. We have to pay each time we get a stray cat.
Yes.
And this will eliminate that.
Well, we have an agreement which is 120 cats per year. I'm sorry, 120 animals per year that we're allowed to pick up. Anything over that,
Pay
we
additional.
pay
Yeah.
additional.
Yeah.
So, and if it's sick, they have to hold an animal for 7 days. So if it's sick, it has to go to the vet, and we're paying for that.
It's
So
a big number.
it's a win-win situation, and all the municipalities are doing it. Belmar, Barrington, Gloucester Township.
Keeping the
And I feel
population down
we need to
on
get,
wanted cats.
we need
I
to.
mean, honestly, the only thing is that the grant money runs out.
Jeffrey
Hopefully,
Nash, well, then.
we'll be okay to cover the
There'll be
cost.
a reduction, or, right, and people here who are doing this are absolute animal lovers, so they will do it.
So why don't we put that on as a first reading,
Can
Joyce?
we do that?
We just need to have the language, make sure the language is correct. And then, Yeah, I think that's not a big deal. Do we have to say anything about the, yes,
It does, but,
It doesn't affect our current budget, but we do pay
but we pay a very high fee for license.
yeah,
This also can reduce that.
okay.
right, so maybe increase our trust balance, so we
Mhm.
can use it for
Yes.
other good things.
Now, do we still have to apply for this grant, or is there a separate application
No,
for
when they
that?
find out that we have this ordinance and we're part of this,
They'll send us on?
they'll,
Okay.
I don't think they're gonna send us anything. We don't get that physical.
Oh, we won't actually get billed
No.
for it?
We
No.
won't get the fines, but we won't be.
But we'll be able to,
County.
yes.
It absorbs that fund, that cost. Okay, great.
Okay.
Was there anything else?
That's progress for
That's
me.
progress.
I'm happy.
Okay, good. All right, so we'll do first reading of the trap and neuter ordinance. Okay, great. Who's next? Mr. Diorio.
I think everything was said for financial.
Okay, if you're good.
We're working
That's
hard
easy.
trying to-
We'll leave the most for last. Did you have anything, Solicitor?
Basically, my report was everything we've talked about since we've been here, so it's been quite a start. and I'm
Okay.
happy to be here, and thank you, everybody, for making it so easy.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you for coming.
Of course,
Okay.
looking forward.
Mr. Wozon? Anything additional?
The only thing I had to speak to our administrator and our treasurer, the uniform agreement. We're looking for Public Works for 2018, the uniform programs with the guys. A little concerned with,
Would this be an amendment to the contract, or?
it's absorbing the contract, meeting all the requirements in the
So
contract.
the uniforms would be paid by vouchers instead of reimbursements, or?
There's no reimbursement.
Oh, it's not a reimbursement?
No.
Well, we pay for the 2 boots or whatever we.
Yeah, that's the only thing, but we're using one company, they all go through one voucher system for that, so we're not going to 10 different vendors and all that stuff. So it's an agreement for the service, but what it will do is, brand all the employees, you know, Runnemede, logo.
Are we looking at Cintas?
Actually, we looked at Cintas and we looked at UniFirst. UniFirst actually came in cheaper, they're under NJPA contract, which we are members of. Cintas was US Communities. But UniFirst met the requirements that are required in the contract with the proposal.
So in lieu of the purchases that we do, we would
It'll
provide
be
the
all
service?
one, it'll be a monthly service, monthly billing.
Did you compare the 2 costs, what it costs for us right now versus what this would be?
Yes.
What's the difference?
It's fluctuated because of the last 2 years on the different things.
Yeah,
So-
no employee, you have a,
We're going to definitely see a savings.
Definitely see.
oh, really? Oh, because you're saying when we hire someone and we buy boots and then they leave, we don't, the boots walk away?
There was, as far as the paying of invoices, there was a time issue.
Okay.
And now everything is timed out, everything's current, everything is consistent. If you put the timing issue together, it's a significant savings when you consider that.
Oh.
And
And we're
we're
using-
spending between 15 and 16 both together, and there's a significant savings. If you look at just 1 year, because some of the previous year's payments were made in that year, it doesn't quite look that way.
Okay.
But if you put both things together, it does.
And it's been hard because we've been using, going out for quotes and so forth like that, and we can't max the same stuff constantly because quotes this year they're higher, next year they're cheaper, so we can never get consistent of uniforms itself.
So this would be a contract for how long?
It's actually a 60-month agreement.
60 months, a long time. That's a long time. That's way too long.
We need the number? We need the.
Doesn't matter, it's a long number, because you're, well, you're encumbering future councils and things like that.
Well, a lot of times when the longer the contract,
The lower the
it
cost?
allows them to charge us less, so.
Because of the NJPA contract.
So,
I'll have to look at it. Okay.
but overall, it's a great idea, everybody will be uniform, everyone will look good. It's just a really good idea.
And as long as there's a way out if there's a problem.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
You have been done that.
Yeah, if there's a problem, we get out of it. Okay, anything else?
I just got the numbers in for October, November, December for our leaf collection. Didn't get January's numbers yet, but we collected 2,181 yards of leaves.
What's that compared to last year?
We're up about 300 yards. So, and plus we had several, because of the holidays now, we collected in January, and we'll probably be looking at like in April, to clean up for like 2 weeks. And all out the residents. But the new truck makes it easier. operations every Monday.
It never changes. It's just Friday. We're not necessarily there on Monday, right?
It may go Tuesday.
May go Tuesday. Okay. Mr. Bayshore, do you want the microphone for a little bit?
Just for a little bit. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I submitted my report in writing, and as Bob mentioned, we had an engineering committee meeting yesterday. He talked about most of what I wanted to talk about, so nice job, Bob. You made my job a lot easier. Just two things. Steve Bach in our planning department is working on the master plan re-exam and the redevelopment study. They're supposed to be coming before the planning board. We thought it was going to be February, but the chairperson might be moving it to March,
She's
just because of the busy schedule. So we're still moving forward on that. There is a
Dunkin' Donuts is coming in and you know.
Yeah, so there's a full slate, so she just wants to bump that a little bit. And the last thing is Dan's reviewed the bond for the Borough Hall project going on right now and is recommending we have a resolution next week to accept their bond.
Okay.
So we'd like to get that on the agenda.
Okay.
And progress.
Okay, great. All right.
I just wanted to hear.
Oh, sorry about that. We'll try to speak into the microphone. I do have two more things on my agenda.
I'm sorry, what did you say about the planning board, about the building? I didn't hear.
The planning board was supposed to review the master plan at the February meeting. They pushed it back to March because there's another item on the agenda. Dunkin' Donuts is coming in for a site plan approval. So everything for the planning board will be pushed back a month.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Two things. First of all, we have a lease agreement with our old Public Works garage. The lease is up. We have an agreement here that is predicated on some terms that the solicitor had gone over. So as long as as the property, the renter, Charlie's Auto, comes in tomorrow with a signed agreement with his down payment,
It is a rears, right?
yes, we will basically be able to sign, what I'm asking for is approval from council this evening. I don't know if that's a resolution or do a resolution for council to approve if he pays the down payment and signs this current agreement.
Yeah, resolution, condition upon those two.
Okay? So it's a 3-year lease with an options to extend, correct? It goes, there's an increase in 2018, each year. There's 19, 2020, 2021.
100 or something?
It's $100 a month each subsequent year. He also gets first right of refusal to purchase the building. So if we decide to sell the building, he has first right to purchase it from us. It does clarify that there is environmental issues that we are required to clean up, so I don't believe he will purchase the building until that's done. So as long as anybody has any more questions about this, I'd like to get Resolution 18-27, which would be a resolution to authorize the mayor to sign the lease agreement as long as Charlie's Auto fulfills his obligations.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Ranieri, second by Ms. Passio. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Passio?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Ruth?
Yes.
Mr. Rothenstein?
Yes.
And Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, the resolution is adopted. One other thing was the Scout Building. The other day, Ms. Passio and myself went to the Scout Building. The Scout Building is currently owned by the Scout Committee. I just want to make it clear that the borough is going to be looking at it. The engineering committee will be looking at the building. It doesn't meet ADA requirements, it doesn't meet fire safety requirements. The committee owns the building. The borough right now really has minimum obligation to them. We cut the grass, we do little things, but they own a big portion of that land by the girls softball. So the idea is the engineer has recommended that we go take a look at it before we do anything further to make sure that there's nothing that would imperil the borough if we got more involved with the Scout Building to help it become ADA compliant, things like that. So maybe we use community block grant money to fix those things, or, whatever. Potentially. Potentially. Depends on a lot of factors. So we're going to go look at it. And the reason is that the organization is not financially strong enough to maintain the building to the level that's required by current law. They don't have the correct fire suppression system or alarm system, so the children aren't allowed to sleep overnight. They don't have ADA entrances, so at one point the borough used to have election day there. There used to be some community events there. None of that stuff can happen anymore because it is not ADA compliant. So as long as anybody doesn't have any objections between Mr. Farrow and the engineering committee, they're going to at least go look at it and see if there's something we can continue to talk to them. One thing that when we talked to Ms. Passio and I, we said if we did anything, we would do it properly, which they sort of laughed because they said most things aren't done properly. So we said that we would do things properly if we were to move forward on anything like that. And that's about it, so there's nothing else on that. Any other business before we go to anything else?
Everybody. About 2 weeks ago, Patty, myself, Jim, and Harry got together with Gary Finger, and we are looking, we're going to have an energy audit done on all of our borough buildings, all the pump stations, and it's an opportunity to get most of the funding, 75% of a lot of the upgrades that we may be doing, to be paid by the state. It's part of the audit. So we're in the middle, we're just starting it, we're taking care
And
of the
there's no
paperwork.
cost to us for the audit.
No cost for the audit whatsoever. It's a win situation, so we got started. And one of the exciting things is our pump stations, a lot of these pumps are older. They'll also take a look at those, recommend the newer, more efficient pumps, finance it, and everything like that. So it's something I'm excited about, and we're getting the ball rolling. Jim's starting to fill out the application, and I think it'll be good for the town, yeah. Just wanted to share that with everybody.
So we have everybody working on it,
Okay.
so that's really good.
Mr. Farrow, did you have something else?
Yeah, I was on Blackbird Spike the other day, we have 19 lights out,
Okay.
so maybe, I don't know if it's yours.
Well, what we've done, if you know the numbers, we can call them
Yes.
in. I know your crew has put ribbons on them, which I think makes it easier for them to know which one's around.
You're meeting with our representative.
What day?
The day you're meeting with the engineer.
This Thursday? Oh, well then I'll
At
bring it
10,
up.
I've already given her all of this information, and has anything been, nothing at all?
Okay, so I will remember and I'll say something to our rep.
PSCNG.
Yes. They own the lights, we just rent them, so they're obligated to fix them.
Excuse me, Mayor, one more item.
Yes.
The newsletter. So every year, Patty and I ask you, we're going to be putting together another newsletter. Is that spring, summer?
We
Yes.
started already for spring.
Yeah, we're already starting, so each department, if there's something you want to get out there, if there's something you want to.
I think Mike
Address.
just said that.
Did- Well, just remember the newsletter,
Send
any
us
information,
All that information.
maybe your mission statement for this year, things along that nature, okay? Pictures, or I'll just take one.
And then the last thing,
I'll be around with the camera.
Mr. Dioria brought in I think the Fire and Police Credit Union has come to the borough, and we're going to probably have that on for next month. It's beneficial to all our employees. The only obligation, I think, from the borough is we have to authorize our employees to become members of the Police and Fire Credit Union. I think the police and firemen are already allowed to be in it, but they open it up to other municipal employees to do it. They've done a presentation already. I think there's other for the police, and I think that they've now asked if we would allow all our municipal employees to be members, or give them the opportunity to do it. So Mr. Dioria is going to get
Yeah,
a
sometimes
resolution.
you have to, but it's
Yeah,
not-
it's no obligation to the borough, it's no obligation to the employee, but it gives them the ability to join the credit union if they want. So more than likely, there'll be a resolution at the next council meeting authorizing the council will approve the joining of this credit union. Okay, other than that, we got a couple more things to do. First, let's get the payment of bills get them done. Is there a motion to pay the monthly bills?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Lomastine, second by Mr. Farrell. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Passios?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. Robinstein?
Yes.
Mr. Neary?
Yes.
All right, the bills will be paid. Now we have good and welfare. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address. That phone will never break, that's out. That phone.
Yeah. Michael Simon, 572 Sherrington Lane, Runnemede, New Jersey. Okay. I'm here because of the construction going on outside the building, that we are not, as residents, or me, myself, I'm going to talk about myself, I'm not allowed to put anything on about the building, you have RunnemedeNewJersey.org. If we want to put something on there, any comments, it says that you're allowed to put it there. Well, that's not true.
Mr. Simon, you were late to the meeting. One of the things that was discussed by our council was that you're talking about the Facebook page, you're not talking about the website. The Facebook page
Yeah.
is only going to be informative, just like the newsletter, just like our website's informative. If you have questions or concerns, you can direct them directly to us
Okay.
or to the different department heads.
I'll direct it, whoever wants to answer can
Sure.
answer. Okay? Now, construction was completed. Well, it was completed. The sidewalk was all completed.
No, the construction was not completed. I know what your question is, so let me answer it for you, and if anybody wants to chime in. The funding that we had allowed us at first to purchase the land, then the funding allowed us to remove the buildings and put the parking lot in, then the funding allowed us to move the doorway. Everything has been predicated on funding. Most of the money that we've used has been based on community block grant funding that we've received. So eliminating ADA impediments, the federal government gives money to the state, which is administered by the county government. Runnemede applies for those funding. We get the funding. We have to match some of the funding. Sometimes we have to put a larger portion up or a smaller portion up. So everything has been based on funding. The reason that you're stating that the sidewalk was completed was at the time, we always had the intent of fixing everything. But the funding wasn't there. We didn't have enough money, and we didn't feel that it was appropriate to use Runnemede residents' tax dollars to pay for something that was being kind of dictated to us by the federal government with the ADA Act, which goes back to the 70s. So what we did is we applied for supplemental funding. We received $150,000 supplemental funding. We received an additional $34,000 in funding. We got a previous $34,000 funding. We're applying for next year's funding and for additional supplemental funding. We're very aggressively trying to use federal dollars to pay for that work that's being done out there. So what you're stating is that the sidewalk was paid. There was no way to know that we could get the money ever. So we had to at least make the property secure and safe for our residents to come to the borough. That property might have stayed the way it was for the next 10 years. If you know, the borough purchased this building 18 years ago. A lot of this work has not been done for 18 years. I have felt, and this current council has felt, that it's our obligation to try to resolve these issues that were left dangling for such a long time. So when we're done, this building will have everything that is required, from the safety issues for the clerk with the handling of money, with the ADA issues so that people can go from one end of the building, from the police department all the way to the tax office without having to go outside. It'll be ADA compliant all the way from there. The upstairs will be ADA compliant. The security issues that have been needed to be addressed will all be addressed. So by the time that this project is done, everything will be done and compliant, and with the least amount of Runnemede taxpayers' dollars.
And to get that funding, those are not optional measures. You have to do that, or else the federal government does not mess around one bit with those items. So if you don't do what you're describing, you're not getting that funding. And if
Yeah.
you're not getting that funding, you're making a very difficult decision.
Yeah, you're paying for
Passing
everything.
it on
Yes.
to your residents.
Yes.
Well, don't you think, okay, for a second, that it would make more sense for you to put something in writing down to the residents so they would understand exactly what would be going on? So I wouldn't be putting messages out.
Mike, you could always.
Wait,
but
give
Mike, you
me
could
a
always-
second to talk, I let you
Sure.
talk, right? I didn't interrupt, I didn't say a word, I listened. Now, wouldn't it make sense, I'm gonna start again, for you to put something out in those simple words that you just explained to me, that I would be able to understand, which I just stood here and understood every word you said, and this gentleman here, he explained, okay, he brother explained it. Now, wouldn't that make more sense than me writing all these comments and you taking them down? Now, that made no sense at all, okay? To me, that was completely ignorant of you and whoever took them down, okay? It would have been really polite to start off there and explain it, then I wouldn't have put anything on.
Okay. Can I respond?
Sure.
Okay, so the newsletter that went out last year was very specific on the community block grant funding and what we intended to do. So that was one place that we spoke about it. When we started the construction, the Facebook page mentioned that the construction was starting, where the funding was coming from, and what we were doing. Your specific comment about tearing up concrete, I hate to say, Mike, was somewhat trivial because of you didn't understand. I'm
Right.
sorry. You're always welcome to talk to me. You're always welcome to come to these meetings. You're always welcome to speak to anybody here. I understand. It was there. I think, Mike, is that Facebook and social media is not necessarily the format to speak very specifically and very clearly. When you and I talk, I think we'll get it clear. When our lawyers here, our engineers here, you can ask professionals who are being paid to answer these questions specifically. I apologize if people didn't understand it. We'll continue to do it better. Ms. Passio said that we're going to once again send a newsletter out. Mr. Lovenstein will continue to try to put messages out there to be as articulate as possible about what we're doing. So we're going to take your advice. We're going to, once again, we'll post something on our website. We'll post something on Facebook. I'll even have Ms. Pinto put something up in the Borough Hall with a picture of what we're doing, which we had up for quite a while, showing the elevator, showing who the contractor was that we've hired, the entire process. Anything you want to know, we'll put out there for you.
Well, it's very simple. I came here, you explained it fully. I mean, that.
I always enjoy talking to you, Mike.
Well, you see, you make sense. This gentleman here makes sense. You know, I mean, it all came together, you know, and I wouldn't have written anything if that's the way, you know, you're telling me, you're explaining it, you know. But the other part never made any sense to me.
Mike, you got my cell phone. Anytime you want to call me, you know I'm available.
Yeah, and to your point on Facebook,
Mhm.
when you either have to allow all the comments or none of the comments. And the purpose of the Facebook page is to make it just an informative page rather than a public forum. So to that end, that's why it wasn't because you had a negative comment or any sort of comment like that. It was every comment comes down because it's just an informative page rather than a public forum,
Mhm.
which would then be implicated by the First Amendment.
Yes.
Oh, sure, my comments were all negative.
Well, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
It's,
You know.
No matter what you said, it was positive
You
things.
could say, this mayor and council are the greatest people on earth, and
Yeah.
you'd still come down.
I'm dead.
Yeah. I feel that way.
Is there anything else, Mike?
No.
Okay. If you have any other questions, let us know. You know, you can ask, call. You know Mr. Bayshaw's able to answer anything you need to.
No,
You want to
that,
know.
my question was asked and answered. I wish that you would have put, like I said before.
We're going to try to put as much information as possible out there,
Yeah.
as many formats as we can. I think the newsletter was a great
I
success.
mean,
We're going to
yeah, I
continue to
just
do
think
that.
that it should have been put, whether, you know, it should have been put out.
Okay.
Orderly. Even if it was in the booklet that you had there, it should have been put out.
Okay, we'll do a better job. We'll put more information. Okay, Mike, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak, sir?
Can you ask any questions?
Absolutely.
Sure, Glenn Denny, I used to live at 636
And I put it out, so if it's an outdoor.
Okay, so the light at St. Teresa's, I think it's a great idea, almost got hit, crossing the street, take my kids there one day. They do have a game on February 14th, Valentine's Day.
We're going to have to let them know then. Was it St. Teresa's there on the 14th?
The cat thing, I don't understand, they're gonna neuter them, spay them, and let them go back, run around the town, so they can be caught again? How they know
No,
that?
no,
How
they
do
don't.
they know not to catch it?
No, they don't catch, they tip their ears. So if you call, if there was a cat on your property, all right, and then you called animal control, so that costs us money
They
for
would
them.
be able to look at it,
Yes,
know,
they see that it's cut, they say that's a feral
even though
cat,
it's
we're not
living
touching it.
underneath a
We're
piece
not-
of wood under your shed.
Well, what happens, it's not
They're
gonna
gonna
happen.
come back out and catch
It's-
it again.
It's not, no, it's
But
not,
it
it's
won't
gonna
have
be a little
babies.
bit different than
It won't
that.
have babies.
Yeah.
The main question I came was about taxes, the website, Runnemede tax website, like, how often does that update? That's my question.
Choice, every time you make a payment.
Yeah.
It's linked to, it's called a WIP
What do you
system.
mean?
Where it says how much you owe in quarterly taxes, like if somebody goes in and searches my name, it'll show that I owe taxes.
Almost
for
identical,
Runnemede.
almost the day it's posted, I think.
So do I owe that money that's on that website?
It says it, yes.
Every night.
Well, let's be clear.
I sold my house over 6 months ago, and I'm still showing up on the website as property owner.
Was it sold through a deed? Did you do, it was a deed process?
We did closing, I went to a
You didn't
realtor.
sell it to a family member, you sold it, you signed the papers and,
Yeah, I went to a title company, we closed.
Yeah, once,
It's actually been resold since I found out, and my name is stolen.
Well, that would be the assessor, he didn't see the.
They're supposed to let us know that the property was
So
sold.
that's the only way we know to
From
take
county.
you off and the buyer on. We
So
get to
who
notice
do I need, who do I
the
need?
title company.
You paid, well, he didn't pay the title.
Well, the title company.
The title company
Let
did.
them know what's
They are
going on.
required to send all the paperwork to
Just a
the
letter,
county.
something like that.
Yeah,
Your title company. Because otherwise, we have no way of knowing.
yeah, we're still gonna
Right,
be
so
going
that,
to you.
so basically, that, like that website, if somebody looked that up right now, they would say, no, you owe that money.
Yes.
This is up to date.
Or if there's a property maintenance issue, it would probably be issued to you.
To me, because
Yes,
the township still thinks I
However,
own that. property.
however, the lien is on the property, not you as an
Correct.
individual.
Correct.
So think about, even though it says your name on it, it's still, the lien
But
would
if
go
somebody
on
falls
the
on
property.
that sidewalk and they go to Runnemede or they look it up.
That's got
and
the two
say-
separate things.
No, but I mean, they look it up, or initially they're gonna say this property belongs to me.
Because the
So-
deed was never told to us to change it.
And whose responsibility would that be?
It's the title company,
Somebody that processed this.
Title company.
Yeah.
whoever your seller, your buyer hired.
When you went to closing,
Mhm.
did you go to a title company's office?
Yes.
So, like, do you remember where that is?
It was in Washington
Do
Township.
you remember the name of the company per chance?
It was on the Black Horse Pike.
Gotcha. And maybe in your records, if you have an agreement of sale?
I have all the paperwork. They gave me a whole
I'm nearly certain that if you go back to the agreement of sale, it'll say closing is scheduled for whatever date at this office, and that is more likely than not the title company that was processed to go through your sale, and they're the ones who have the responsibility to let Mrs. Pinto know.
Yes.
I lost it, sir, like 2 cents, 3 cents.
Oh, sorry, the title company where you went,
Where I went to the
where you
office.
went to go.
In Washington Township.
Normally, weird stuff happens, and there's always exceptions, especially in my world, but they're the ones that are responsible, once the sale is complete, to let the
Well,
clerk
it
know.
goes,
that
actually
it's-
goes to the county.
Right.
The county
Right,
registry.
and then- but then they start the process.
How long does that normally take? Am I too early, maybe a few weeks?
When did you make selling?
Could be up to.
It was like August.
Not 6 months.
Not 6 months.
There was certainly a breakdown, or else you
Yeah,
would.
and if you remember, it's called the HUD one, where if you remember, there's a sheet with all the numbers on it. The title company should be on that too. The HUD one where it says the transfer of the taxes and all the other, and how much money you walked away with and paying your mortgage
No,
off and things
because I
like
paid
that.
all of my debt.
Whatever you had to do.
So, but I would certainly check that out, because that could cause some major headaches if it hasn't already. And it sounds like it already has.
Yeah, it has, because it came up. So, all right. The last thing, just driving through town all the time, I kind of, like, I do follow all the websites and newsletter. I don't know if I missed the last newsletter, but it does seem kind of strange. I was like, what the heck are they doing out front now? So I don't know if it was communicated out, to everybody.
Can you give them a newsletter?
Yeah, I might not have got that.
Yeah,
so
you'll
I-
enjoy
I
it.
don't know, but, I might not have had a chance.
Well, I could put a big sign up.
There's,
Original
well,
says where the money's
speaking of the sign there, I noticed that the sign that says proposed parking lot is still on the corner.
Well, because that's the funding.
Parking lot, that's the funding.
It's the funding from the community block grant.
That sign has since changed, and it has the current project.
Oh, does it? I didn't even notice.
And it's ADA hallway and elevator.
So it's on the sign out front.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Seeing no one else, is there a motion to close the public portion?
I make a motion to close this public portion.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Mr. Farrell, all in favor?
Aye.
Public portion is closed. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Mr. Wallenstein, all in favor?